Good morning, everybody in the sponsorship world. Nick Lawson here from Squad. I'm excited for this sponsorship morning coffee. It's just going to be me today, although we have some great guests coming onto the show a little bit later within this month. But, today I just wanted to jam on something that I've used as a template for a lot of our activations that we do at Squad. And in addition to that, it's just something that I feel very strongly that we need to kind of implement within sponsorship, all of our packages, and that's what I call the sponsorship levels. It's not like I invented this sort of levels of activation. This is basically just from advertising. This is really how we look at advertising, especially in today's modern world. So I'm going to jump into that a little bit today and just how it relates over to sponsorship. So these are sponsorship levels. This is kind of how I see these levels of activation. The first is going to be that awareness. That's probably been the statistic that's been around since the early 1900s for sports sponsorship. Putting a sign at Ebbets Field for the Brooklyn Dodgers, that's going to be your awareness piece. Fans are going to be able to see the brand, build brand recognition, all of those things. So that's the older school that you have. The next piece is going to be engagement. And, it doesn't have to be digital engagement. We can also look at this in terms of, boothing at a game. How does a sponsor connect with your fans through contests? How does a sponsor do sweepstakes? Things like that. The next level is going to be that purchase that action. How can we really drive fans to either make a purchase, set up a deal, or a sit down with a sponsor and really engage there? And the last one is going to be retarget. And this is a very sort of newish one that's very prevalent today. And that's going to be retargeting. How can we set our brands up so that they can reach these fans again with more messaging and be able to facilitate a lot of that? So those are the basic sponsorship sort of levels on that. And again, we have awareness, engagement, purchase and action, and retarget. And as you can see, the bars are going down. Within any sort of funnel like this, within marketing, you're going to see drop off at each level. It's just going to happen, right? You hope that you can get everybody who saw the activation or saw the sign to come down to a purchase and action. But we can't rely on that, right? We know that it's going to drop down. The goal, though, should be that your sponsorship packages have an element of every single one of these. And our job in sponsorship is to really shepherd down fans through this funnel. So we want to get as many fans as possible, obviously, to the retarget or to the purchase phase, but then from there, be able to move them into the retarget phase. And the reason why the retarget phase might be a little bit lower in this funnel is just because once they make a purchase, obviously there's some people that we might not want to retarget just because if it's a car dealership, they're not going to buy another car, within the next, 6 days type of deal. So as we kind of go through this here, and let me get this going on my screen here. The problem is a lot of our assets stop here. And this is something that, when I look at kind of assets within sponsorship, we sell a lot of awareness. And there's no problem with that, right? Brands absolutely need awareness within their packages. The problem, though, is that we're a little bit too heavy. We're not diversified enough in our portfolio. And awareness isn't just physical signs. Awareness is also putting a tiny logo in the bottom of a sponsored tweet, right? That's just an awareness piece. Maybe you get a little bit of engagement with that sort of highlight graphic with your sponsor. You're definitely not going to get very far down toward a purchase that you can actually track and prove on that side. But awareness is not just signage. Awareness is also going to be those social assets where you don't have a next step for them, right? And again, our goal as we talk about this is to move them down the funnel, right? And then we do have a lot of activations here that we work with in sponsorship that just stop here, right? We'll get the awareness. They'll enter a sweepstakes. Maybe they'll make a purchase based on that coupon, and then they just stop, right? and we've done nothing to set up our sponsor to get that final piece of the retargeting. So those are just two things to be aware of. As you sort of audit your assets, what you're building for sponsors, really, really look at it and say, hey, is this package too heavy on awareness? Do we need to add a little bit more? Do we need to add a little bit more into the package to make sure that we're getting down to this engagement piece? Do we need to add a little bit more into package so that we're actually incentivizing trackable way to make a purchase in action on that end? So that's really what we need to think about. And I think you'll find that a lot of them are very awareness based. And again, if the sponsor absolutely says, hey, look, I don't care about engagement, I don't care about purchases, I just want the logo there, then fine, that's what the partner wants. But a lot of times as we kind of look at this, they're going to be looking for these pieces within your activations. As we look at our packages, this is kind of my golden rule as I kind of look at activations that offering to sponsors. Every single one of your packages needs to hit all of these levels. Unless the sponsor specifically says they don't want to drive purchases, they don't want engagements, or they don't want to retarget, and they only want awareness, you need to set these packages up to have every single level of this in it. And it's because it's so foundational within advertising today. This is really the process that it happens, right? As advertisers move through today, especially with the retargeting piece. You don't have to have it all in one shot. Obviously, you can have signage in there and then a sweepstakes that's going to get engagement that distributes coupons and collects emails to retarget. But you should absolutely be looking at, auditing every single one of your packages and saying, hey, look, unless the sponsor specifically said that this is not what they're looking for, we need to be looking at every single one of these pieces in a package. And if a package doesn't have it within it, how can you build that in? And then asking that question to the sponsors, look, we have no retargeting assets within here, right? How do I make sure that as far as retargeting goes, that we're getting them emails? Do you even know what to do with emails? Do you do any retargeting? Do you do email retargeting, right? Does your manufacturer do email retargeting to where they can help pay for the sponsorship package with this? So I can't stress enough that as you kind of audit and look at the different sponsorship levels here, really, really audit your packages to make sure you have every one of these pieces. And the big reason why is literally, and this is why this is so important, and this is why we lose a lot of deals in sponsorship, and I see it all the time, is a Facebook ad hits every single one of these in one shot. Every single one of these in one shot. And by that I mean, look, when you run a Facebook ad, you automatically get views and you get awareness. Then you get some engagement, commenting, things like that. Then you have a button that leads directly to an e-commerce purchase, and they can build a audience based off of everybody who interacted with that ad to be able to retarget. That is why it's so important to have all of these pieces within your sponsorship packages, because if you don't, this is, again, I always bring this up, this is what brands are thinking about. Do I want to spend $1 million with this team, $10,000 with this team, $5,000 with this team on this sponsorship package? Or would it be better spent $5,000 on something like a Facebook ad, a LinkedIn ad, a Twitter ad, an Instagram ad, things like that? So why is this so important? These different levels are so massively important because just with technology today, Facebook ads do this in one shot. And again, it's not like everybody who looks at a Facebook ad goes and purchases, but it makes it so easy to just be able to do 2 clicks, make the purchase, show provable traction. And then now what we're looking at is if Facebook ads can return 5x on my ad spend, sometimes 30x on my ad spend, why would I ever sponsor a team unless it totally made sense data-wise? And then even if I'm going to sponsor a team, why would I ever sponsor a team that's not going to give me emails to retarget? They're not going to give me a path or a funnel down to a purchase or an action. If your answer for how many sales this led to for a sign is, well, X amount of people saw this, X amount of people saw this signage in the stadium, so they're not going to come to you and say, I saw the sign and, I made a purchase. If that's your answer, and you can't be able to track directly down to that purchase for your partner, there's going to be a problem, because again, Facebook ads do that. You can literally pull it up and say, hey, look, this is how we're doing well here. This is how we're not doing well here. Cut that ad, put more money into this ad, and have that flexibility. So again, why are these so important? Why do I harp on these sponsorship levels? Why is it important to go through every single one of your asset packages and unequivocally audit them so that they have a piece of this in there for every single one? It's massively important because social ads do it in one shot. And again, we're competing. We are competing for dollars that they would spend. The crazy thing is this, and I always bring this up, and I'm surprised more brands don't do this. If I was a brand right now and you gave me a package that was only awareness, that only was able to hit your fans with signage, maybe a sweepstakes, but there's no coupons toward purchase or action, and you told me I would not get the emails to be able to retarget, here's what I would do. I would set up a Facebook or a Snapchat ad around your stadium on game day. I might geofence it. I might just target your fan base. I'd put your team colors up there. I'd put whatever sports ball that you have, football, soccer ball, baseball, whatever it is, and I would target your fan base with my messaging. And I would spend $0.25 and get twice of the ROI back. That's why this is so important. If you don't build these levels in, then they can absolutely pretty much pirate your audience on social media and get sales without sponsoring your team. That is unequivocally what scares the hell out of me in sponsorship today. Or even let's take it to the next step. They can go to your players who have a savvy marketing team and influencer marketing team that does this and gets you emails, gets you purchases, gets you trackability. So, I'm not saying get rid of signage. I'm not saying get rid of signs. I think we're overpricing signs, but I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm saying if you're going to offer signs, if you're going to offer a package that has signage within it, you need to be offering things that are hit every single one of these levels. Engage, prove purchases through coupons, through offers, through whatever that may be, but prove purchases and then be able to help them retarget. Whether that's you retargeting your fan base or whether that's they retargeting your fan base and you set them up on a license fee on that. That is the most vital thing about these levels. Again, the thing that scares the hell out of me in sponsorship is that with social media ad tools, they can reach your fans. They can put colors up. They just can't put your logo up, and they can absolutely pirate your influence on social media because you haven't set these things up. Obviously, with our branding, obviously with the passion around our fan base, hopefully, fans see what we promote as products in a better light, right? Hopefully, we're that much of influencers. But if you don't have these retargeting pieces within it, then what's the reason for spending on sports sponsorship? If I can just go run a Facebook, Instagram ad toward your fan base, point of doing that. So that's not to get in too much of a rant there, but this is why this is so massively important to have these levels within it. Because if you're a brand manager, a CMO, and looking at the dollars you're about to spend, if you literally lay out a plan that just shows awareness, engagement, purchase, action, and retargeting of how you're going to hit every single one of those, then yes, I'll spend that money with you. If you don't push that in, on that side, they're just going to go somewhere else. Alex, jumping in here. Thanks for jumping in, Alex. We offer dasher boards in hockey, or something we can add into that package for our partners to reach all these sponsorship levels. It really comes down to, look, if you have the dasher board, that's going to be a big awareness piece. What's that engagement next step, right? How are we going to shepherd that person to a sweepstakes so that we can get some engagement? How can we shepherd them into a purchase and action? Would be intriguing is if you did an activation to where the fan, a social media sweepstakes where the fan had to take a picture of that sponsor's dasher board. There's your engagement, and with that picture, right, actually snapping a picture, they could then take that to the sponsor's location, show that picture on their phone, and they'll get 10% off. There's your purchase in action, right? And when they get 10% off, maybe the sponsor or you have them fill out a quick email so that it can send the offer or send a follow-up offer. That's going to be something to where if you're going to a sponsor and just saying, hey, look, here's your dashboard. Yeah, we're going to hit some awareness, but after that, fans are going to go home and maybe totally forget about us. But if you say, hey, look, we're going to have your dashboard up, but then we're going to have a quick social campaign. Every fan at the stadium or watching on TV, they have to take a picture. This would be interesting too if it was, let's say it was like a food partner. They have to take a picture on the television, hopefully not, but assuming that we only have streaming games and no fans in the stands. They have to take a picture in the best, it has to not be sort of blurry or pixelated of the sponsor logo, right? So you have to get it so it's a picture with the sponsor logo. You're able to post that on social media, and then once you post it on social media, we're going to then send you, if it's a good picture, we're going to send you a quick coupon via DM, or you can automate it and get some email captures with it as well as they submit. And then again, you're getting those sort of retargeting. If you did that every game, now I'm forcing you to watch the game and really look out for that sponsor logo. Now I'm making it a little bit more engaging. I'm trying to get that perfect picture. I'm going to tweet it. When you tweet it, send over a DM that you could even set up automatically that says, hey, thanks for doing, taking the picture. Great picture. Here's 10% off to that store. Click here to redeem. They click there. They enter their quick email to redeem. It redeems it, and they're able to then go make that purchase, prove that purchase. If you did a hashtag, you could even boost the awareness on social media to get other fans into this funnel. Because again, we're trying to get fans into the top of this and then shepherd them down to retargeting. And then obviously, if it's a food partner or whatever that is, they can then take those emails and shoot them an email back for the next game. Say, hey, thanks for participating in this. This thing last game or last month. Here's the next month. We're doubling it. Now you get buy two get two free for the offer. So again, that's just like that's not that by far that's not the best activation you can come up with. But again, as we kind of think through this, let's take the next step on moving past awareness, right? Let's, instead of just saying, hey, here's a dashboard, you're going to be seen by a ton of fans. You're going to be able to grow your awareness, right? Going to them and saying, hey, here's a cool thing. Here's a fun, engaging thing that we're going to be able to do. And here's how it's going to get through the engagement. Here's how it's going to get through the purchase in action. Here's how we're going to get to retargeting, because I know that's important for your company. If you come to them with that mindset of explaining how it's going to benefit them, then probably they're going to be blown away, just because a lot of sponsorship or, to be honest, advertising pieces that aren't digital aren't really doing that. I know I used to sell paper restaurant ads. We absolutely did not get to the engagement part. It was pure awareness, and that's how we can really think about it to go win those deals on that side. So I hope that answered your question, but great question kind of on that side, again, of thinking about how do we take something that's just hitting awareness and move it into the next phase with some creativity that's really going to boost that into the engagement, the purchase in action, in the retargeting. And I chatted about this a little bit, but the fan journey here is, awareness is going to be seeing an activation. Engagement is going to be playing an activation, connecting, right? A little bit, as I just kind of mentioned there. It doesn't have to be an actual contest. It could just be, a taking of a picture or something like that. A purchaser action, driving to that purchaser action. How can we influence that fan to go make that purchase, go make that action, and then retarget? How can we give sponsors the ability to reconnect with fans, right? If it takes 10 times for a fan to see sort of your brand logo, your offer, whatever that is, until they make a purchase, how can we set them up so they're going to hit that without having to come to our games? And that's where the retargeting piece really comes in. And then as we look at, metrics here, we all obviously want to tie this in. When we give the reports, we want to give a report that's going to look at these metrics and really, really say, hey, look, this is how you're going to validate whether we've done well for you. right? And here are the exact metrics that we're going to look at. How many people saw the campaign? How many people played the campaign? How many offer redemptions were there or offers sent out? Because sometimes it's on them to get people in, just meaning if they give out a bad offer, you need to talk to them about giving out a better offer to drive people to their store or their location or to buy online. But, you know, purchase and action is going to go toward those offer redemptions, and then retarget is just leads. How many leads or how many opportunities are you giving them to reach back out and re-engage, whether that's themselves through some of their own retargeting campaigns or whether that's looking at what you can do to retarget. How can you retarget that fan base, whether you're actually running the Facebook ads or you're actually running the email ads, things like that. So those are the key pieces there. We always want to have a trackable metric because, again, when somebody runs a Facebook ad, these are what they're looking at. They're looking at how many people saw it, how many people clicked it, how many people purchased it, and how many people can I retarget. And I can segment that into people who clicked it, didn't purchase, and then clicked it, did purchase, and obviously I'm sending them new. And it gets crazy there, right? You can integrate in that it's in the shopping cart, but they didn't make a purchase, so now I'm retargeting. You made a purchase with this item, and I think in 2 weeks you're probably going to want this item, right? That's what you have to replicate, because again, social media, digital ads do this so well. The average business spends $10,000 a month on digital advertising. That's insane. Why can't we get a piece of that pie, right? Why can't we go grab those dollars? This is a first key way to go grab those dollars, because it's speaking in terms that you can really connect and engage with that sponsor, and speaking in terms of saying, look, if you're going to give me your money, I'm going to give you back views, plays, offer redemptions, and leads. You're paying me for this, I'm going to give you this. And that's really going to set us up for success as we move forward. So kind of wrapping this thing up, again, really when we look at our sponsorship assets, really when we look at how we're offering items to sponsors, I challenge you to kind of look through this and say, hey, look, I'm creating a package for a car dealership. What assets are in that package? How many awareness assets do we have? Is it 90% awareness? Did the sponsor absolutely demand that we do not offer any engagement or anything like that and just do awareness? If no, then what we have to do is really, really look here and say, hey, look, we need to diversify some of this. So if we have some, sponsorship assets, that are going to be signage, that are going to be, just highlight tweets with the logo on it, which is honestly just as bad as a sign toward moving people through this funnel. How can we get them to engage with social contests of taking pictures, with actual digital contests that you can run with sweepstakes? How can we then drive that fan to make a purchase in action? And then throughout this, how can we then earn some leads to be able to help them retarget? If you look through every single package asset that you're offering for each client, I would even make a spreadsheet, and we've done this before, of literally you put the client to the top here, and it's literally, here's the client name, here's the awareness, engagement, purchase, action, and retarget, and then on the right here, what actions or what assets are fulfilling those. And if you can't get down to the bottom, then this is the time to think through that, right? And to say, hey, look, how can we earn emails to help them retarget? Is that sending fans to one of their email captures? Is it our email capture? Do they want, instead of emails, do they want phone numbers? Like, what are they looking for? That's how we need to think through this, because what that will do is it'll give you the ability to really focus on what your sponsor needs, what their goals are, and then these are the tools to help them reach those goals at every level. But again, the reason why this is so important is Facebook ads, digital ads, Google ads, Snapchat ads, TikTok ads, they hit this all in one shot. And again, it's not like, again, if you see an ad, you're not automatically going to click it and then do a purchase and then retarget. But if you see an ad, you get people to engage or click it, you get people to purchase, and then you can retarget those people all in one shot. You just have to create one advertisement to run, and you can hit all 4 of these levels. That is why it's key to understand that within sponsorship, because if we can offer to say, hey, look, you're going to buy this package and you're going to hit all these levels in one shot, then we're balancing the scales of convincing brands they should be spending their dollars with us in sponsorship and not just spending it in ads. And again, I'm going to put this scenario out there, and I think it's even more important now as brands have less money. When sports come back, we've been talking a lot about the excitement of sports coming back, so sponsors want to get back on. Again, if I was running a brand, and this is coming from somebody who's been in sponsorship, if I was running a brand, let's say it's a B2B brand, let's say it's a car dealership. If I was running a car dealership, I would not spend $50,000, $100,000 on a package unless you had every single one of these things. Instead, what I would do is I would run targeted ads to your fan base with your team's colors, but not the logo. It would be a sports themed ad, and I probably would do better for less price, for less cost on those ads. And I obviously could tweak them. If it's really not working and nobody's clicking, I turn that off in a day, and maybe I lost $100 instead of dropping, $100K on an activation. I bring that scenario up because we absolutely need to think through that scenario when we're building our packages. Why wouldn't somebody just do a campaign and target my team's fans? Why wouldn't they do it on Facebook? Is your brand power really worth $100K when a brand could spend $5,000 and maybe get the same results? You have to prove to a brand that if they're going to spend $100K, that they're going to get through all of these levels and that they can't replicate that through Facebook ads. You have to convince them that they can't do it in-house and replicate the attention that you have via their own Facebook ads for 1/100th of the cost. That's why these levels are so important. So as you think through this, really audit your assets, really think, are our assets really hitting all of these levels? And I guarantee you, if you start speaking in these terms of saying, hey, look, we have 4 levels. You go to your car dealership, we have 4 levels. First, we want people to know that, Dodge Chrysler, the brand. So we're going to have these activations for awareness. But then we want people to engage with you, connect with you. Here are those assets to be able to engage and connect. But ultimately, we want to get people to make a purchase with your dealership. Here's the activation that we're going to use to do that. And then on top of that, we're going to make some misses, just meaning we're going to miss some people when they get to the purchase and action phase, but we understand that that's not the last time, and we won't rely just on games. Here's some ways that during the week you can retarget and reach them in an authentic way to get them coming back. If you came to a car dealership with that plan, it's game over, because they fully understand that you have a plan that leads to sales for them in terms that they understand, and you can convince them that it's not worth their time to just target fan bases instead of actually go to the team. So think about that, readjust, realign your assets with this, especially in a time now where sponsorship dollars are being spent very, very lightly on activations. You want to make sure you're trying to get it as a sure thing. This will absolutely help you in doing that. So that's my sponsorship morning coffee there. Sorry if it turned into a little bit of rant. I hope this helped. As you all are tuning in and kind of looking at this, I'll definitely post this back up, but really, really look at these levels and really, really honestly audit yourself to whether you're hitting them within your packages. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Remember, keep pushing those limits within sports sponsorship.